All right, everybody, we are back. Kyle is with us right now. We're going to do some NFL conversation. You can follow Kyle Vanden Bosch on X. He's a great follow at KVandenBosch93. Again, that's KVandenBosch93. Okay, Kyle, so I'll just fire the first salvo at you for the Arizona Cardinals. In your estimation, are they done shopping in free agency, or do you see another move coming?
I think they're mostly done. I think, again, Montesfort does a great job of really focusing on adding depth and adding talent toward the back end of the roster. To me, the big emphasis this offseason was, one, improving the defensive line, which I think they've done a good job in free agency so far. Two, and I've talked about this before, year by year with quantity and with good players, they've raised the floor. I think now it's a matter of trying to find difference makers, and I don't know that there's many difference makers left out there in free agency. And so I think you turn your attention to the draft and try to hit a couple of home runs there with guys that can really raise the ceiling with this team, be playmakers, be difference makers. And, it's if you continue to add, they've really addressed this roster with quantity over the last two draft classes, and quantity of good players. Maybe down the road, a handful of great to elite players. But I think at this point, you're just kind of, while you have the potential to add depth and add competition, which is always important, I don't know that any additions at this point are going to really raise the talent level on this roster.
Kyle, when you talk that out, I'm sitting there thinking, I wonder if Monty Ossenfort and his staff have got the pros and cons of what's left, i.e. experience, talent, how many years, injuries, past injuries, versus looking at the draft of a like-kind position, talent, inexperience, but upside. Is that kind of the juggling act that general manager will have prior to maybe getting one or two more free agents, or relating to the draft?
Yeah, it is always. I mean, look, experience is important. You saw it with some of the rookies that got playing time last year. You certainly saw it the year before when the Arizona Cardinals led the National Football League in snaps by rookies. Inexperience at some point in the season, you're going to pay a price, making mistakes, guys' eyes in the wrong place, taking a wrong step out of their gap. They drop somebody in coverage. Those things can cost you games. But again, there's been valuable experience that's been attained by the last two draft classes. And you expect a level of improved play, more impact plays by some of those players. So I think, again, there's always a risk reward. With seasoned vets that have been in the league a number of years, you kind of know what you got. And so, what the ceiling is, what the best case scenario as far as production to a large degree might be. I think you just take a shot with draftable rookies at this point, with guys that have had production, but, adding a burner to this offense to stretch the field, I think could help in the draft. Adding playmakers on defense, whether it be guys on the front. Again, I think if there's any position that you need to flood on your football team, it's always the defensive line. You'd love to be able to go too deep at just about every position and not have a drop-off and be able to roll in fresh players. There's no position on the football field that on any team that rotates as much as defensive line. And that's on purpose and by design, because you want fresh guys going after the offensive line, trying to affect the quarterback, trying to get in the backfield on every single play. So I think you can, maybe take a chance on a guy that has good measurables, maybe hasn't produced at a high level in the college game, but you see the intangibles and you see the potential. I think we're past the point of going after, safe draft picks. And, I'm assuming Jonathan Gannon and Monty Osborne, they sat down when they both took this position and talked about what's our 3-4 year plan. And, everybody has this perception that, Monty Osborne, he just wants to trade down, accumulate draft picks, hit it with quantity. I think that probably was the plan year 1, year 2. I think they probably, thought year 3, having gone from 4 wins to 8 wins, it's time to really add some talent and potentially elite talent to this roster.
Kyle, I love to hear a defensive guy, Jimmy, say we need a home run hitter. We need that guy on the offense.
Yep.
And I think we all agree that's probably the last step that the Cardinals need, Kyle, to take, to have that guy that can take it over the top or stretch the defense or at least be a threat. And on the defensive side, if you can't find that impactful defensive lineman that can push the pile and clog up some holes, or another edge guy or linebacker, then are there guys that are going to be out there that at least can step in and be maybe 75 or 80% of what you lose if somebody gets injured on that defensive side?
Yeah, I think, you're always you're shooting for best case scenarios. You're always preparing for the worst case scenario, what happens. And, I'm really comfortable with the depth at a number of positions. And again, I think, even outside of a stretch the field receiver, which will help James Conner. It'll keep those safeties out of the box. It'll help Trey McBride and, getting more space in his underneath routes. I think, while a receiver to stretch the field, it might not necessarily correlate to a lot of deep shots, but what it will do is, like you said, have the threat of the deep shot, which makes them have to defend every blade of grass on the field. And, the way this league has gone, most defenses are in, shell coverages, and they keep everything underneath, and they like to play bend but don't break, make you execute, 10, 12, 15-play drives. But I look at Kansas City, Xavier Worthy, fastest 40-time combine history, not necessarily super productive in college and not necessarily very, over-the-top productive as a rookie. But, Kansas City's pass game evolved to more of an underneath passing game, a short passing game, get the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hands quickly. And a lot of those lanes and a lot of those, zones aren't open if you don't have Xavier Worthy on the field and you don't have the safeties worried about giving up that one-play shot or that one-play touchdown. So I think that's important. But I think, to your point, the receiver room as well, Zay Jones had, some success a few years ago, but outside of that, there's not a ton of production coming back in that room. I could maybe see bringing in a veteran receiver for one, just to continue to help with Marvin Harrison Jr.'s development to a degree, but also just another reliable target for Kyler Murray and another guy that defenses have to account for.
Kyle, before we let you go, draft is rapidly approaching. Do you see the Cardinals staying at their spot or up or down? What's your thought?
Could go anywhere. I mean, again, that's where Monty Osborne has thrived these first couple of years, making, trades, draft day trades, moving around. But again, I think year 1, year 2, the emphasis was on we just got to get a bunch of guys in here and let them compete. I think now I would be in favor of, and I don't necessarily know what their thinking is, but I wouldn't be surprised if they trade up. If they see an impact player, maybe a guy that has the potential to be a generational type guy, a cornerstone of this franchise, within, 5 picks ahead of them, I wouldn't be surprised to see them move up. And I know a lot of people just assume Monty Osborne's going to get more picks because they don't have the plethora of picks that they've had in the past. And that's what he likes to do, is draft a bunch of players. But again, I think we're past the point of attacking this roster with quantity, and it becomes more about adding quality and adding difference makers and adding playmakers. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them move up a couple of spots if there's a player they're really targeting.
You must be hanging out with those offensive guys over Brophy. You're coming around as far as offensive threats and home run hitters and impactful players. I'm glad to see a black shirt out of Nebraska that's kind of turning the corner, realizing what you need on that offensive side. You're doing great, big fella.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think they've done enough
I agree.
Personnel-wise,
yes,
to increase the level of play of the defense, at least talent-wise. The offense at times, and it seemed like I said it several times coming out of games, the defense did enough, the offense didn't score enough points. And, just saying we're going to stay pat with what we have on offense, I don't know that that's the answer. I think you need to continue to have playmakers on the offensive side of the ball as well.
Jimmy, I'm going to get his offensive patch of the week.
Okay.
I'm going to send that over to you. I'm going to send that over to you, big fella. I'm so glad you're coming around from that defensive side.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Kyle. Have a good
Thanks,
day, man.
Kyle.
Thanks, guys. You too.
There you go. Kyle Vanden Bosch, everybody. Once again, you can follow him on X, KVandenBosch93. He's presented by All City Towing, and you can join the team, the largest towing company in the state. Yes, it's All City Towing, and they're hiring dispatchers, call takers, lot attendants, drivers, customer service personnel. They pay extremely well, and they have terrific benefits. For an example, set work schedules, a 401k employer match, health benefits, employer-paid life insurance, and a monthly fuel allowance. Take your career to the next level. Just go online and type in allcitytowing.com and search careers. Again, that's allcitytowing.com and search careers. It's All City Towing, where your future is on the move. Quick timeout. We're coming right back, everybody. Rockin' Minutes with Jimmy B. ESPN 620, also on the FM dial, 98.7 HD2.